I buy all my toys, figures, and collectibles at Big Bad Toy Store, and you can too. They ship worldwide, and you don't pay for it until it arrives in their store.
Hey, what's up? Siri Emerald here. Well, I told you it was coming when that Mark 6 diecast was released. The Mark 4 diecast has been announced. What I didn't foresee happening, though, was that they were going to re-release the Gantry too. Now, what's important about this Mark 4 diecast is they've reworked the figure. I mean, they didn't just rework the figure as in regards to like they did with the Mark 3, where they just made it now diecast and a little more articulated. I mean, they reworked the figure. There's pieces on this that were not on any of the other incarnations of the Hot Toys Mark 4 figures. For instance, the shoulders now have this rocket type thing that pops up, the little thin ones right there by the neck. It also has a rocket on the forearm, where before it only had the little bitty pieces that go all the way around the forearm. Now, the Mark 4 is really only seen in 3 scenes. Now, I'm not talking about when we see it lined up in the Hall of Armor that he has there, or in the subsequent movie where he has the Hall of Armor there. I'm talking about where it's actually worn. By the way, if you haven't seen the movie, I won't be talking about the movie, but I can't imagine, again, you'd be watching this video if you haven't seen the movie already. In the beginning of the movie, we see him landing at the Stark Expo, and he's in the Mark IV. We get to then see the Gantry with the white floor on it. The next time we see the Mark IV is when he is having his birthday party at his house. Rhodey shows up, dons the Mark II, and they have their duel, if you will. And then, of course, the third scene we see the Mark IV in is where he's at Randy's Donuts. Other than that, there's no more Mark IV. We really don't get to see the weapon capabilities of it. We get to see him firing his blasters, but we don't get to see him utilizing any of these weapons that have been attributed to this Mark IV. Now, why is this important to know? Because, in my opinion, the Mark VI really isn't a brand new, fully developed from the ground up and built armor. There's a scene we see in the movie where it shows the Hall of Armor there, and the Mark IV actually says, awaiting upgrade. Interestingly enough, the only difference between the Mark IV and the Mark VI, from what I've noticed, is the chest piece and the laser in the back of the wrist, the one-offs. If that were the case, that the Mark VI is really the upgrade of a Mark IV, then anything that the Mark IV would have had, the Mark VI had, and that's why we get these weapons on these figures that we never got to see him use in the movie. Now, with the announcement of this Mark IV diecast figure, one of the things they did not show is the calf on these preview images of the figure. So at first I was thinking, gosh, maybe the calf doesn't open. But then again, I went to the Mark VI diecast preview pictures, and the calf does open. So I'm going to bank on that assumption that the calf on the Mark IV does also open, even though there's not a single picture on any of these press releases that show the calf opening. I'm going to go out on a limb, though, and say it is going to open. Another thing that I don't see, and I don't see it on the Mark VI either, on the original release of these figures, on the hip where he has the flares that will pop out, on the original Mark IVs and on the Mark III diecast, they have that flare. I don't see it posted here on these press release pictures of that being an option. Now, on the Mark III diecast, it was a piece that you could interchange. It didn't pop in and out like on the original Mark IVs. But the original Mark IVs also don't have those pop-ups on the shoulders that this one has at all. It doesn't have the thin one or the big missile ones. They're not on the original Mark IVs. So it's nice to see that on here. So the two figures are truthfully totally different. Now, the reason this is important is, in my opinion, if you've collected any of the versions of the original Mark IVs, whether it be the most recently Shanghai release, reworked version of it, or the original Mark IV, or the Secret Project Mark IV, you're not going to go wrong, in my opinion, by getting the diecast, because it's going to be a new interpretation of the figure with different abilities than what the original had. And I'm not talking about the posability with the diecast, I'm talking about with the weaponry that's on it. So the original Mark IV has the pieces all the way around the forearm. This one has them on 3 parts of the forearm with a different rocket on the top, and then the shoulder pieces. And the original Mark IV has the hip pieces. The air flaps, if you will, on the back are different on the diecast than they are on the original. On the original, it's a little metal piece that's separate from the plastic piece that can be separated. We're looking at these images, and in comparison to the ones that have already been released, it appears to not be a separate metal piece from that. So that's going to be a little different too. So there's going to be a lot of different things here, which is going to appeal to the collectors. And for the collectors who did not pick this figure up yet, it's going to give you an excellent opportunity to get a hold of a fantastic figure. Mark IV is one of my favorites. With all of the improvements and the enhancements and the other weapon accessories, you also get the sunglasses and the donut box and the donut, which was available in the original Mark IV. You get the coffee cup, which wasn't available in the original Mark IV. It doesn't say fresh donuts on the side of the coffee cup like it does in the movie, so you don't get the little stamp on there. I don't know why they didn't do that. It would have made sense to me for them to do that. I don't know why they didn't do that. And in addition to the regular release of this Mark IV, there is also the Mark IV with the gantry. I didn't see them re-releasing the gantry. This totally caught me off guard. With the Mark VI diecast, they showed the gantry from Marvel Avengers movie, miniaturized. I was really disappointed to see that that's all they were doing and they didn't go and make a 1/6 scale round gantry for the Mark VI from the movie Avengers. I really wanted that. I have the Mark IV gantry, and remember also the gantry was used in the Mark II from the original Iron Man. We've seen the gantry in different uses. In Iron Man 2, the gantry has the white bottom because it's at the Expo Center. In Iron Man 1, the gantry has the black and white checkered bottom. The original gantry that came out a few years ago, you flip these little magnetic pieces over. So it's the black checkered on one side, or well, not checkered, there's like a graph or lines in the floor on one side, and on the other side is the white, depending on which scene you wish to recreate. I'm telling you, looking at this gantry, it looks to be identical to the gantry that I own. I've examined these photographs back and forth, and the overall design of it appears to be identical. So I'm going to assume, although there's not a single picture on here that shows that the other side is white, it probably has the other side white. Unless, for whatever reason, they decided to rework the floor of it, and only the floor, because nothing else looks to be reworked at all, and just painted those or molded those onto there not to come off. The little pieces that I have on mine, they tend to slide around a little bit. They don't necessarily stick in every single capacity on every single item on there, like the little bitty pieces in the back. The little covers sometimes fall off and I have to pick them back up and put them back on. So maybe they might have changed that for that, because I don't see any example of the white side of the gantry floor here. Other than that, the only other difference between the two gantries is the original gantry that came out with the original release of the Mark IV is in virtually new condition. There's no weathering on it. There's no, real battle damage on it. Not that it was in a battle. I just mean, the weathering. Whereas this one is definitely weathered. So it gives a collector also the opportunity to display it now in two versions. Because the Expo Center would be in perfect condition, because it's on display. He's showing off the best of the best. It's going to be in perfect condition. Maybe the one at the house, though, doesn't necessarily get as cleaned up as, he seems to damage a lot of things in his house. A lot. So possibly the one in his house is a little more weathered, you might imagine. So if you haven't picked up the Mark IV, or if you want to add another Mark IV, or if you want to add a different Mark IV, or if you want to get the diecast Mark IV, this is the way to go. $344.99 will get you the Mark IV from Big Bad Toy Store. If you want to get the Mark IV and the gantry, if you passed on the gantry, you didn't get the gantry, didn't know the gantry existed, now for $634.99 will get you the Iron Man Mark IV with the gantry. Both of them come with the sunglasses, both of them come with the donut, both of them come with the donut box, both of them come with the cup. The only difference between the two is the gantry. If you don't want the gantry, you can get the $300 one. If you want the gantry for another $310, you're going to get the gantry. I love my Iron Man Mark IV in the gantry. He's proudly displayed, has always been proudly displayed. It's a great looking figure. I also like how they've reworked the head sculpt. Nothing wrong with the head sculpt from the original Mark IV. But with the advancements that have been going on over the years, when you look at a head sculpt now, oh my goodness, it really has captured the image of the actor. Robert Downey Jr. is really portrayed well in these new head sculpts. It's an improvement. So it's a win-win situation there too. So like I said, if you haven't picked up the Mark IV, or if you have the Mark IV and want to get the diecast, or one way or the other, head over to Big Bad Toy Store. You can place it on pre-order now. If you're getting the Gantry one, though, they're going to require a deposit. There's a certain dollar amount. I don't know exactly what it is, but they then take a portion of it as a deposit that you have to put down on it. Normally, you don't have to pay anything down whenever you place an order in Big Bad Toy Store. And, of course, they'll ship it worldwide. So thanks for watching, everyone. Leave your comments section below. Tell me what you think of this figure. Are you going to be picking it up? Are you happy that the Gantry is being re-released? Are you disappointed the Gantry is being re-released? It is a different version of it. And in all actuality, the Gantry in the house is different than the Gantry at the Expo Center in regards to how it's set up. It appears that it's coming from different areas. So this may give customizers an opportunity to customize their Gantry without feeling like they're destroying the Gantry, because now they have a second Gantry. Follow me on Facebook at Siri Emerald. If you've already subscribed to my channel, hey, thank you very much. Love every one of you. Share this video with your friends. Give it a thumbs up. And to see more videos that I made, you'll find them posted here on the right. Thanks again for watching, everyone. See you in the next video. Happy collecting.